I'm Sam.
And I'm Greg.
We're human beings. And we like movies.
We'll be doing reviews of brand new releases,
Old classics,
entire sagas,
and even TV shows and video games.
This is Reaction Time.
Hello, everybody, and Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas. How are you all doing today?
Yeah, how is everybody? How's everybody feeling? Today, we are going to be taking a look at How the Grinch Stole Christmas from 2000.
Yes, the live-action version,
The
animated one.
Correct.
Because
Not
that
to be
would be
confused
like
with
a 5-second podcast.
The Grinch. That would be a 5.
It's
Well,
pretty
yeah, because
short.
you haven't seen. Oh, you're talking about the old one.
Yeah,
You're talking about the
animated one.
1966.
Oh my
or
gosh,
8?
no way.
We just watched it. Yeah,
That's insane.
It's old. Yeah, we're talking about the 2000 How the Grinch Stole Christmas
With Jim Carrey.
with Jim Carrey, directed by Ron Howard.
Yep.
All right, Craig, tell me about this movie.
So I just watched it, and I actually love this movie.
Okay.
Mainly because growing up, it was all about Jim Carrey and my family. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
That makes
Bruce
sense then.
Almighty,
Dumb and Dumber?
Dumb and Dumber,
Great.
Even Ace Ventura when I was older, because we're not appropriate before then.
Yeah.
So that's my main reason why I love this movie is because Jim Carrey dressed up every single day in a horrible costume
Yep.
and killed it.
Yep, he did.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm about to put a target on my back. I don't like this movie.
Oh, no. I knew you were going to say that.
Okay, sorry. I can't just come out and say I don't like it because I do. But there's a lot about it that I don't like at all. There's some things that I respect about it. I am inclined to say that this is the third best Grinch movie. And there are three.
Wow.
I know. People are going to be so mad.
Even
don't
less
at
than the
me.
animated one?
The old one? I watched the old one and it's so endearing and it doesn't make me as angry as this one does. So it's like there's a trade-off there. I'll get into why I don't like, what I don't like about this movie. I don't like hate it, but it's not like, for me, it's not what it is for everybody else.
Uh-huh.
For everybody, it's like this staple of their year and everything. So, yeah, so... That's how I feel about it.
I respect it, even though it's wrong. But I mean, it's okay.
We'll talk about it. We're going to go into our score. This will be a little bit of a shorter episode. Quick disclaimer. This is going to be 100% spoilers. Because if you don't know the story of the Grinch, then that's completely on you.
Yep.
So don't expect...
And who raised you?
Spoiler free. Yeah, and who raised you. Because that's a big issue. Let's talk about our categories, shall we?
Yeah.
Visually,
It's all right.
what are you going to give it?
I don't know. 105.
105. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's low.
Well, yeah. There's just
Okay, wait. Let me ask you a question real quick.
Okay.
Are we going to rate these off of all time, or are we rating them for their time?
Well, that's hard.
Because it's very
that's
different.
true. Okay, so I think you have to rate them for their time because...
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, like Lord of the Rings, I would give a super high score for visuals, even though just watching it now, it still looks fantastic.
It does hold up.
But there are some parts where it doesn't hold up.
Right.
But I wouldn't hurt
Yeah.
it because it was freaking forever ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're going for its time, okay, maybe like a 153.
Okay, very
Yeah.
specific, 153. Why?
So there are a couple parts where the CGI looks really bad, and I understand that it's kind of a wacky story, you know?
Yeah, it's a wacky... Well, yeah, and I think it's kind of supposed to be wacky visually.
Well, of course, yeah. But some of it distracted rather than and they were only quick little parts. It wasn't like it's super distracted all the time. The people in how they did all their hair and everything is great. And they look ridiculous, which is what you're supposed to be doing. Obviously, Jim Carrey as a Grinch looks great because it's a real costume that he had to endure through every single day. But they're just, like the place where he lives looks bad every time you see it.
It does.
Like the mountain.
His cave.
You know?
The mountain too.
Yeah, and even like the cave.
Yeah.
They're just like little things like that where it's a little distracting. And kind of the last part where, they have the sleigh and everything.
And they're going down the mountain?
They're going down the mountain.
That's interesting because I actually think that looks really good.
Well, the going down the mountain part's fine, but there's like the part where they're at the top and they're like leaning towards if they're going to go. Yeah, just like little parts like that where it just didn't quite hit. Yeah, actually the part where they slide down.
It looks pretty good because we were watching it and I was very impressed because it looks goofy, but the composition is very good. Like it looks real in a way, which is pretty impressive for like when this movie came out and probably what the budget was. I don't know what the budget was on this movie, but
probably not a lot.
Probably not.
All went into Jim Carrey.
Tell me, probably not. Because I'm not on the right place to know.
Yeah, it probably doesn't go.
But yeah, it looked pretty good. This is. I'm gonna give this like a 103.
Okay,
and I'll tell you why. It's not because of CGI or anything. I think the biggest thing I hate about this movie, actually, which is interesting and it bugs me so bad, is the cinematography choice to angle the camera in every single frame in this freaking movie.
Okay.
I hate that.
I see
I don't
what
know
you
why,
mean.
and that's it's a personal thing, but it bugs me so bad.
Really?
I don't understand the purpose of it. It's so distracting to me.
See, and I mean, you say that, and I'm thinking about it, but it's never distracted me before.
Yeah, so I think it's just.
And I don't know if that's maybe because they're floating on a snowflake. The camera's supposed to be angled because they're always spinning.
Yeah, maybe, but
also quick thing on that.
Not. I don't know.
So it's Dr. Seuss, right?
Yeah.
Who also did Horton Hears a Who, where the whole premise of that is this, little teeny speck that holds this entire civilization, and they're trying to make sure it doesn't die, right?
Yeah.
This whole movie is on a premise that they're in a snowflake.
Wait, so let me
What happens when the snowflake hits the ground? Do they all just die?
I mean, the snowflake's going to melt eventually.
Right?
Wait, let me ask you this, though.
Okay.
They're the Who's, right?
Yes.
As they are in Horton Hears a Who. Is this the same
world?
Yeah, like I've always
is there
thought
a
about that
Dr.
because
Seuss
in
cinematic
Horton Hears a
universe?
Who, I know, dude, maybe because in Horton Hears a Who, they're on a speck.
They're on a speck.
And here they're on a snowflake.
Yes.
So is everyone of that species just called a Who, and there's different worlds? It's not that important.
Are they called the Who?
We're not talking about like some Dr. Seuss multiverse, which I never thought about.
Dr. Seuss and the Multiverse of Madness.
Because they're Who's in Horton Hears a Who.
Are they?
Yeah, because it's a Who. Horton Hears, it's in the title.
Well, oh yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, so that's
weird.
I don't know if they live in Whoville. Well, I'm gonna have to look into that.
Who Town?
Horton Hears a Who, by the way, is one of my favorite animated movies.
It's really good.
It's so good. But
Jim Carrey.
I'm trying to stay. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yep, he's the elephant.
Yeah, so that's what bugs me the most. I think I'm not super into like quirky in movies. I like weird, but I don't know if I love quirky. So I think that's a lot of why I don't like this movie very much. Because there's some stuff that's like so over the top, then just like maybe not for me. Like the light gun and like all the weird stuff, which I get that's like part of it. It's like a very integral part of it. So maybe that's why I don't like the movie.
I don't know why they had to make it so sexualized.
Dude, yeah, I don't know.
She's sitting there like bouncing as she's shooting the cannon.
Get it? Whatever. So yeah, that's
and then she blows the smoke away after the gun's done. Oh man, it's so funny.
Okay, what about the story? The story's pretty original for what the Grinch actually is, right? They add a lot in.
Well, yeah, like he has like a whole backstory and everything.
Yeah.
Which that's one of the things that I kind of loved about it was just like him floating and like crashing into the other like baby to be like, no, this is where I'm going and stuff. And then
it's very Megamind.
Yeah, it really is.
Kind of the opposite.
Yeah. The story's good, I mean, it's a fun story that definitely is different than the book and adds a lot more stuff to it. So I enjoyed it. You know, I'd say the story is like a 140.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel pretty similarly. Like they created a story and they did it pretty well.
Yeah.
Like that's just, I mean, it's nothing like astounding, but they're basically just filling in the base of the Grinch. So it's fine. I'd give it like a 150.
Yeah.
You know,
It's good.
just solid. Nothing crazy.
No. Okay, so acting just because of Jim Carrey, almost like your Zoe Saldana, that's her name, right? In Avatar. Just because, honestly, all the actors in this movie, I think, did a great job. I don't.
Yeah.
There's nobody that's really distracting.
No, nobody's
bad.
Nobody's bad.
Even the mayor, you hate him, but that's the purpose. Is you're supposed to hate him. The parents of Cindy are great. Cindy was great.
Yeah.
So
did you know? Side note: did you know she's in a heavy metal band?
Yes,
now?
I was actually going to say the exact same thing
so
if you
funny.
knew that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny because her singing in that movie is not great.
Nope.
It's really
nope.
That's probably the most distracting part of the
but
movie
she's
for
a
me.
little kid.
I know.
So, yeah. But
it's
also
just
the
funny
movie's
now
not
that
supposed to be realistic, so maybe she should be good. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Because that's what I'm saying. She's in a heavy metal band now.
Yeah.
So, acting just for the amount of stuff that Jim Carrey had to go through, I give it like a 190.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think about Jim Carrey being an absolute D-bag on set? Everybody only has horror stories about him as a person. I guess maybe he's just like that all the time.
Well, that's kind of a good amount of actors I've heard are just kind of
and the ones who are like him, who are just geniuses, I guess they're just a pain anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. As far as acting goes, like, it would have been really hard to be a bad actor in this movie because you're just supposed to be over the top quirky.
That's true.
And it's like, it's so hard to mess that up.
That's true.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think because, like, really the acting was just as good as it needed to be, but it's like, do I also base it off of the ease of acting? Probably not. So I'll give it I'm going to give it a 175.
Okay.
Like, pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Nothing crazy about
the main thing, and I mean, this could also go under story. There's just so many quotable moments from Jim Carrey that, or even like the other actors. That's why it's just, it's just a lot of funny parts.
The writing for The Grinch is phenomenal.
It's so good.
Like, that's one thing I do love about the movie is just like the lines, just just everything he says is great.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's why it's hard for me to hate this movie is because it is funny.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a really funny movie and he does a really good job.
You just hate the camera. So do we need to like clip the Grinch but turn just slightly? And then
if somebody wants to take the whole movie and just like hit the crop tool and just rotate like 10 degrees either way,
it'll be your favorite.
I might
Christmas
really
movie.
like this movie, you know?
That's kind of hilarious. Well, if they just cropped out a certain individual in the Avatar movie, it would have been a lot better.
That's true. Here we go, you guys. Go. Maybe the only tool we need in cinema is just the crop tool.
Just the crop tool.
There's a little piece of advice for you guys who edit movies. Just
the crop tool.
Just the crop tool.
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think about the score? Is there a score? I don't even remember there being music in this.
There is music, but it's just like Christmas songs. So, like, I don't really think there's not really like a score just because.
Is there no like background score in scenes?
Well, there's gotta be, right? Well, like when it opens up and Anthony Hopkins is narrating the beginning, they have just the music and it's fun, and then at the end when it's zooming out into the snowflake, there's that music. But other than that, I think it's just like seriously Christmas music that's just in the background.
That makes sense.
So
yeah. What do you give it?
I don't know because there's really no score.
I know. So. We can do just the music as a whole, basically adding or subtracting from the story. Or the movie.
Nothing subtracted from it, but nothing added to it. So I guess just 100.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to give it. Because it's just like,
it doesn't.
There
really
was not
need
a single time where I'm like, oh, this music is it's it. I never thought about the music. That's the thing. I didn't even know if there was music or not in it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's vibey time.
Vibe. This group. This is where we're gonna separate pretty hard.
Yeah.
I give it a 180.
Okay.
I enjoy this movie. It's great.
Most people would probably give it like a 180 to 200 because some people just love. My wife.
I'm not
loves
like,
this
oh
movie.
my gosh, this is the greatest Christmas movie.
Yeah.
That might be Elf for me because I just love Elf.
Yeah.
But this is like a super close second.
That's fair. I'm going to give it like a 45.
Nice.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay. I don't want to like only talk crap about this movie because it's fine, right? Yeah.
It's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie.
None of them are really that good.
It's very funny, but that cannot be. Well, some movies can just be really funny. Mm-hmm. Dumb and Dumber is one of those movies, right?
Yeah.
It can only be funny and everything else can suck and it doesn't matter because it's that funny.
Napoleon Dynamite
right?
or Nacho Libre.
Yes. Yeah, because like what's the story of Napoleon Dynamite, right? There's not one.
There is,
but there's kind of not.
No, there's really
you know what
not.
I mean? It's just a person doing things. Yeah. So this movie is very funny. Props to the writers and everything. It's mostly just the way it looks for me and the quirkiness.
Yeah,
that's kind of it. But like some of the lines for the Grinch are hilarious, and very quotable.
The fact they took like a 40-page book and made an entire movie out of it. It's pretty
probably
good.
A 20-page book, dude.
No, we have it.
Actually,
we read it to our kids every once in a while.
So it's a little longer.
And it's one of those where it's just a bit too long that every time they ask me to read it, it's like,
you're like, oh no.
Crap. I can't just be like, the dog played in the street and the end.
Yeah. But okay, I do want to tell a quick funny story that makes this movie slightly endearing to me.
Okay.
One of my grandpas passed away like 6 years ago, and he was kind of a little bit of like he was more your typical, like, lives out in the country, kind of just a rough kind of guy.
Okay.
Didn't say too much. But I remember being at his house as a kid watching this movie, and the Grinch did something, and we're all like, it's a bunch of like 4, 5, 6-year-olds like sitting around watching this movie. My grandpa's just like sitting back there on the couch. And the Grinch does something. I can't remember if it's just when he stole the presents or whatever. And my grandpa goes, "Oh, that little and for some reason, like obviously when I was a kid, I was like, no, grandpa like said a bad word or whatever. And now looking back at it, I'm just like, that's so funny because it's like, he's just like,
he was into that movie then.
Yeah, I know, because he was like very much paying attention and watching it. So it's just a good memory for me now.
That's awesome.
Just because that's just who he was, right? Where he's just like, he's like, kind of seems a little grumpy and like all the time. And so that's just a funny story about the movie because it's like, it's the Grinch, right? And then he's just like all grumpy about, what the Grinch was. So I think that's funny. I know. Okay, let's add these up.
Okay.
What do we got? What's your prediction?
I think I got like 805.
763.
Okay.
You're pretty good at guessing.
Yeah, that's close.
I'm going to guess way off. I definitely gave it less than you.
Oh, 100%.
I'm going to go like, oh man, like am I in the 500s?
No, you thought that about Avatar and you were at like 650. I bet you're like around 600.
But what if I'm at 650 now and it turns out I like the Grinch as much as I like Avatar? That can't be right. I'm going to say I'm at a 618. I'm a 573.
Oh my gosh, you were in the fives.
Which,
but
honestly,
if you think about it, you're only 100 points less than Avatar.
Okay, so we mentioned this in Avatar. So would you give this movie a 7.6 out of 10?
No.
What would you give it?
I'd probably give it close to like an 8.5.
Okay, I would give this movie a 5.7.
Yeah. So
which is exactly what,
basically
maybe a 5.6.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into it.
Mine was mainly the story. Like if I had given that a little bit higher, I would have been pretty close to my number.
That's true. Your story is, well, in your score.
Oh yeah.
No, your story was
no. It was a score that was low. Yeah.
Yeah. But not bad. This is what I think. So you haven't seen the new animated Grinch.
I've seen parts of it.
Dude, it's so good.
I've heard it's good.
Here's the thing. I love that animation style because it's exactly like Horton Hears a Who.
Yeah, well, it's Illumination, right?
I think so.
Or is it DreamWorks? No,
I don't know.
It's Illumination.
I believe Benedict Cumberbatch is the Grinch.
I think that's his real name.
Which is so interesting. Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch. I think that's the best Grinch movie, like by far.
Okay.
Which
I've heard it's good.
Maybe I should put the hot take helmet on for people, but like that's my opinion.
I've heard people really like it.
I think it's really good.
And I think you also, I don't know how much you grew up with like How the Grinch Stole Christmas, And so
I don't think I did.
Right. And so
I think it's also
I probably have a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah.
A lot of the quotable stuff is probably really not that funny, but I think it's just the funniest thing ever. And me and my wife we'll quote it all year long.
Yeah, that's how my wife is, because she'll walk in and she'll say something or do something from the Grinch, and I'm just like, what? And she's like, oh, it's from the Grinch. Like, she'll like walk in, she'll go, ooh, that's it. I'm not going. Yeah. And she always does that, and I'm like, what? Like, what is that? Yeah. So that's not on me. That's on my parents, mom, dad. If you're listening, it's on you, I guess. But
you're the reason he gave it a 5.7.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things that we didn't watch in my house very much or at all. Yeah. And so it's not nostalgic for me. So I'm only looking at it as an adult.
Right.
Which I guess makes sense.
And see, my wife and her family watched a lot of the animated stuff, the old animated stuff.
Which I also don't like.
And I never did.
Yeah.
And so they'll they'll put it on every once in a while. And I'm like, okay, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah, that's how my wife is with Charlie Brown stuff. I don't like Charlie Brown.
Well, yeah, I never grew up on Charlie Brown.
Yeah, I didn't either. Like, I think my dad did, but I don't think he tried to like instill that on us. So I was like,
you must watch Charlie Brown.
I know, but some people are like that. Yeah. And so yeah, I didn't grow up on that either. So I think I just like what I grew up with. Yeah. Which I guess makes sense, but it's also very close-minded. So whatever. I'm close-minded and I'm proud. That's me as a person.
I am ugly and I'm proud.
Do you have any final thoughts on this movie?
I would recommend that you go see it in theaters.
What's your box office prediction?
Okay, so I actually kind of wanted to do this
because I don't know. Do you know what it made?
I don't.
Okay. We are going to do a guess of what it did in the box office. What it already is.
Okay, so box office predictions. Oh gosh, I don't know. 84 million.
That's
high, but not a lot.
It feels low.
It feels low, but
84 million?
Okay, you got to think of it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Ticket prices were way lower before.
They were 84 million. I'm going to go with like 111.
Okay.
111 million. Okay. Let's see. Box office. Drum roll, please. Wow, we were way off.
Okay.
$345 million.
Holy crap, no way.
That's a lot.
That's a ton.
That is a lot.
I actually didn't... I for some reason thought it was kind of like the cult classic where nobody really sees it in theaters and then everybody talks about it later.
It had a $123 million budget.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess
so they kind of had to.
Jeez, wow.
That's a big budget for that movie.
Well, yeah.
Also, props to the costume department. I didn't fail to mention that, but 100%. The costumes, all of the costuming looked great.
It's so good.
It really did. Wow, 300. What was it? 345?
Yeah.
That's way more than I thought.
That's insane.
Because Elf...
I was way off.
Spoilers. Should I spoil? I'm spoiling Elf because I already saw it.
Oh, no.
Elf only made $225 million.
Really?
That's really shocking.
Did Elf came out later?
Elf was 2004?
Okay.
I believe.
Much later.
Not a ton.
But maybe...
But that was Will Ferrell's first movie, right? Or one of his first movies.
Well, yeah. I mean, like one of his more
first starring
popular ones.
Yeah, because Jim Carrey by The Grinch was huge. So I think that's also another thing.
That's true. Yeah, because he had already Ace Ventura. Mm-hmm. I think even like Bruce Almighty and stuff was before then.
Yeah.
And I guess this probably felt more like a Christmas movie than Elf did. So a lot more people went and saw it. Yeah. If you saw a trailer for Elf, you knew it was a Christmas movie, but it wasn't like your weird, quirky Christmas movies because that's what most of them are, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, shame on you.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, you have to watch it.
Yeah, please watch it.
For sure.
Really funny.
Like, whether I hate it or not.
It's a great movie.
You have to watch it because it's one of those.
Yeah.
So, that's The Grinch.
That's the Grinch.
That's how The Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yes.
We will be looking at The Grinch at some point maybe next year.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Because The Grinch is great.
Yeah.
So that's it for this episode of Reaction Time.
Yep.
Merry Christmas to everybody. We will be releasing episodes every Friday.
Yep.
And next week, what do we have?
We have the Something Awards.
The Something Awards, which might be a placeholder name, and it might just end up being the name of the show.
Yeah, we have no idea.
We're going to basically give our two-person Academy Awards for movies from 2022.
Yep.
And they're going to be real because we're not getting paid by anybody.
No.
And so it's our actual opinions.
No.
So
I have some thoughts about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good one.
Next week.
That's going to be a good one. First annual.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Excited.
But yeah, remember, this is reaction time. Really elastic actors can't think. I don't know.
Can't think.
Can't think.
Is Ovens
new?
Thanks. I'm
Mohammed
Eater Doodle.
Ely.
Ely. And with that, that's reaction time. Please don't forget to, whatever platform you're on, give a rating.
Give a rating.
Give a review if you're on Apple Podcasts.
Yep. We're now on Stitcher.
We're on Stitcher. Go follow us on Instagram and on TikTok. I haven't posted anything yet, but it'll happen. Just at Reaction Time Podcast on both. And if you'd like to support the podcast, click on the link in the show notes. Okay. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Have a great Christmas. And
Merry Christmas to all. And to all, a gute Nacht.
A good...
It's German.
A gute Nacht.